To all who come to this happy place.
The trees are what makes the oxygen, right?
Welcome.
So how is the wind pushing the trees? I'm sorry, it seems like the trees are moving.
Special message from Disney.
Have you experienced the Mandela Effect? In this video, we will go over a variety of Mandela effects being discussed online. I understand some people may know all the Mandela effects, but they may be new to other viewers. I do my best to research new information and at least entertain people who may already know the ones mentioned. We all have embarrassing moments. Help us not have one by subscribing to the channel and liking this video. The next Mandela effect has to do with the evil fashionista Cruella DeVille. She has spawned two different Mandela effects, the first having to do with the spelling of her name.
I remember as a child realizing in her name the words cruel, devil were clearly disguised by two letters being added at the end of the first and last name. Apparently it has always been DeVille. Anyone else remember this? I remember DeVille on a license plate. I remember thinking it would spell devil without the space, and a long minute later I realized that was the point. I was kind of a slow kid. I'm with you on this one. It's the car license plate that I remember specifically because it pointed out the DeVille behind her name. Yes, I remember DeVille. What the A few months ago, I remember there being a Mandela effect where a few people were saying that they thought it was DeVille, but apparently it was always DeVille. Now it's DeVille again? You remember what you want to remember. DeVille is a car. Never heard of that car. Guess this excuse only works if you are American.
The second one has to do with the color of her coat in the Disney classic 101 Dalmatians. People recall her wearing a white jacket with black spots. You can find costume kits and outfits worn by people dressed as the infamous puppy hunter.
I'm aware that I might have spelled her name wrong, laugh out loud, but that's not the point of this. What color coat was she wearing? I could have sworn she was wearing a white coat with black spots, but apparently she wears a cream color coat?
The actual color of the jacket she wears is yellow or off-white cream. In fact, the reason she wants the Dalmatians is so she can make a coat out of them, this being the plot of the movie and the main objective of the villain. This means the plot of the movie itself has to be the Mandela Effect. Some have pointed to the live-action version of the film starring Glenn Close for causing this Mandela Effect because of the Dalmatian puppy on her shoulder, and I was able to find her wearing a white and black spotted outfit from the sequel 102 Dalmatians. What do you remember her jacket being? And has the spelling of her name changed?
The original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. I just mean that it's no longer 1937, and we absolutely wrote a Snow White that is
not going to be saved by the prince.
Big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her.
Yeah.
Weird. She's not going to be saved by the prince, and she's not going to be dreaming about true love. She's dreaming about becoming the leader she knows she can be.
Weird.
So, social issues I try to get in the background or underlaying a plot, but never to the point of letting it interfere with the story or hitting the reader over the head.
Long before Disney was pandering to a subservient subculture, they used to make films starring badass women with the agenda of telling a good story, or rewriting one and doing a good job at it, especially if the story could definitely use one. Before Disney started forcing diversity into their films, they were already making them, one of those movies coming out in 1995 and leading us
Just around the river bend.
Pocahontas.
She is also the first to technically not be a princess, as she is not of royalty, nor does she marry into royalty. She is, however, a chieftain's daughter, which can arguably be the equivalent of a princess.
Does this image look correct to you? Many people remember Pocahontas looking just like this. If you missed it, don't worry, you're no lowbrow. Her eyebrows are red. That's right, Pocahontas has red eyebrows. To many people, this looks bizarre and not like they remember. When thinking about everyone's favorite Disney bear, Winnie the Pooh, you may envision his honey pot, his short shirt, no pants, or him hanging from his red balloon, given to him by Christopher Robin. Keychains, statues, and so much more show the beloved teddy bear and his inflatable friend. The two are inseparable, going back to the original 1977 film, The Mini Adventures of Winnie the Pooh. But that is where the reality for many has changed, because the balloon in the original film is now blue.
I've watched the original Winnie the Pooh from the 70s growing up like a million times. In the part when he uses his balloon to go up the tree, his balloon was red. My kid was watching it the other day and his balloon was blue. I also went to Disneyland and on the ride and the candy shop, it was a blue balloon instead of red. I've also been in there a million times and there's like a statue of him with a balloon and I know it was red. Has anyone else noticed this?
Is this Mandela Effect due to the fact that the color red is the most attractive to the human eye? Maybe because we are drawn to that color, we see it as the balloon. Others have said it's this movie cover that has caused the confusion. Or is our reality blowing a lot of hot air?
Because even miracles take a little time.
Miracles?
Which one do you recall? Do you remember seeing or not seeing Cinderella's ears? This new Mandela Effect has to do with the Jungle Book spin-off cartoon, Tailspin. The show had one season that aired from 1990 to 1991. Starring Baloo the bear, Shere Khan the tiger, King Louie the orangutan, and the duck airplane pilot himself, Launchpad McQuack. Launchpad McQuack was on DuckTales and Darkwing Duck, but he was never on Tailspin. Do you remember Launchpad McQuack being in Tailspin? The first Mandela Effect deals with the Disney classic Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. After Snow White is proclaimed to be the fairest of them all, she hides herself away in the forest where she finds the seven dwarfs. There was Sleepy, Sneezy, Bashful, Grumpy, Happy, Dopey, and Doc. All the seven dwarves left daily to go work in the mines. This is where they would sing the song Hi-Ho. Many people recall the song switching between It's Off to Work We Go and It's Home from Work We Go. But the song only says one of the two phrases, and it's home from work we go, and not off to work we go, like so many remember. I was able to find this Disney record with the song, and it sounds like off to work we go is being said.
It's off to work we go.
But I can't tell if it's because I'm focusing on that phrase while listening, much like the green needle test from episode 3. Maybe I want the lyrics to be that, so I trick myself into hearing it while listening. Also, I'm unsure if this is an actual product from Disney and could be possible residue. When I looked up the lyrics, it only has It's Home from Work We Go. Let me know what you remember in the comments, and we'll have to wait and see what the song lyrics will be in the new Snow White film. Many of us grew up watching Disney films, and most of us recall the mini intros featuring Tinkerbell. There are a lot of people that recall Tinkerbell coming out on screen to spell the word Disney, and then dotting the I with her wand. But no one has been able to find this exact intro.
Possible found residual memory of how we remember Tinkerbell dotting the I in the beginning of the Disney movies, except that this isn't quite exact. and it comes off kind of a really crappy video. This is his recreation. He's doing it in photo point her route around the castle. And she comes from the other side too, which is what I remember. She comes from pretty much about the right-hand side of the screen first. And then she stops there. He's saying she stops there. She dots the I, flies off that way. And then she hovers in the front of the screen.
People have recreated the scene they remember in hopes of finding others that share the memory of the missing Tinkerbell Disney intro. Another Disney Mandela Effect, we can now look at the film Jungle Book. There is a scene where the bear Baloo dances with a grass skirt and coconut bra. Even in the parades at Disneyland and Disney World, Baloo is seen wearing this exact outfit. Baloo never wears the coconut bra while dancing in this scene. In fact, he never wears the coconut bra at all in the Jungle Book, making these parades all the more bizarre to the people experiencing this Mandela Effect. This update takes us back to the third episode, where I discussed Launchpad McQuack being in the Disney cartoon Tailspin.
I was a big Tailspin fan, and Launchpad McQuack was never in the show.
When it was brought to my attention that I had misspelled Tailspin when doing the chapters for the video, I realized I was not the only one that believed the title of the show to have tail instead of tail. This would make sense, being that the show had animals as pilots.
Launchpad was never on Tailspin, which I actually thought was Tailspin, so I would have found that to be a more believable Mandela Effect. Baloo was the pilot, why would they need Launchpad? Someone is jumbling up the Disney afternoon.
Did you also think the title of the show was spelled Tailspin? The next Mandela Effect is a baffling one, to say the least. Most of us have heard of the story of King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table. From humble beginnings, his life has changed after being the only person able to remove a sword with its blade deeply embedded into a giant rock. Disney would make an animated film of this titled The Sword in the Stone in 1963, but the sword is not inside a boulder as remembered. It is in an anvil.
Oh my God!
Do you remember the sword being in an anvil and not a stone in the Disney film The Sword and the Stone?
It was a stone for me, and I remember as a kid having a hard time imagining a sword stuck in a big stone, and would wonder what the detailed view would look like, and the way it simply was removed for one and not another. Thoughts like, how did it even get there? I would think about it being put into a hole in the stone, and then concrete-like substance sealing it in. Never once did my thoughts surround an anvil. Ever. I would have analyzed the shit out of it as well, but it just wasn't there for me to do so with. I don't know. This one is a little obvious for me.
Do you remember the sword being in an anvil and not a stone? This Mandela Effect truly leaves us between a rock and a hard place. Also, if you made it this far, I want to say thank you. I make these videos by myself and they take a lot of time, so I do appreciate you watching. And if you are not yet subscribed, please hang out more often by clicking that red subscribe button for future content. One you may be familiar with is Mirror Mirror on the Wall. Disney has even made a film called Mirror Mirror. And within Disney books, the words Mirror Mirror show. Yet the actual line is Magic Mirror on the Wall.
Magic mirror on the wall, who is the fairest one of all?
What about Alice in Wonderland, Tweedledee and Tweedledum? Most remember them wearing hats that had propellers on top. Even costumes for Halloween are made with this same look. Yet they have never had propellers on their head, but flags.
Call it the not-so-magical kingdom.
This guy is popping the question on stage at Cinderellas Castle in Disneyland Paris.
Suddenly, a Disney employee swoops in, snaps the ring, and orders them
Off the platform.
The next Mandela Effect focuses on the castle inside the Magic Kingdom. Many people believe it is called Cinderellas Castle, and the Mandela Effect being that the castle is in fact not Cinderella's castle. But that is not necessarily the case. I mean, it is true that Cinderella herself does not technically have a castle, but this is the castle from the Disney film Cinderella. But that is only if you are at the Tokyo or Florida Disney Park. If you are at the Paris, Hong Kong, or California park, then you are seeing the Sleeping Beauty Castle. And finally, if you are in Shanghai, then you are seeing the Enchanted Castle. Also, if you ever get mixed up with where Disneyland and Disney World are, Disneyland has an LA, and LA is in California, and Disney World has an OR, and Orlando is in Florida. I then wondered what castle was used for the Disney logo, and I believe it is a perfect match to the Cinderella Castle. But as always, please let me know what you think about this castle fiasco. Now let's journey down the rabbit hole to the magical place called Wonderland. You may recall the one covered in the first episode about the hats of Tweedledee and Tweedledum. Many people recalled them being propellers, but they are flags. The new Mandela Effect deals with the psychedelic furry feline, the Cheshire Cat. Many people remember him saying, "We're all mad here." You can find memes and merchandise featuring this memorable line, stating the obvious that everyone in Wonderland is crazy. But the actual line is, "Most everyone's mad here," leaving it open to the idea that some people in Wonderland haven't lost their marbles yet.
Most everyone's mad here.
The 1992 Disney film Aladdin tells a story of a street rat from Agrabah, a fictional city near the Jordan River. But in the original story from Arabian Nights, Aladdin is Chinese, and the story is set in China. The book itself has stories from many different places around the world, and in fact the story Aladdin was not part of the original novel until a French author translated the stories for a European version and added the tale of Aladdin's wonderful lamp in 1710 CE. If you search the ethnicity of Aladdin, the results are Chinese. When Hollywood got their hands on it in the 1920s, the story became more Middle Eastern. When doing research on this, the whole entire thing is confusing and convoluted. If the story was inspired by Chinese folklore, then where is the evidence of the original story of Aladdin? And if the author heard the story from a Syrian scholar, then why did he make them Chinese? Furthermore, if the Disney film is supposed to be in a fictional city near the Jordan River, then why does Jasmine dress like an Egyptian belly dancer and have a tiger?
A tiger in Africa? Well, it's probably escaped from a zoo. Sound very likely to me.
Have we been taken on a magic carpet ride? Tell me what you think about this down in the comments below, and let's put this genie back in the bottle. The final Mandela Effect deals with the Disney classic Bambi from 1942 and is the most disturbing. Many people recall the tragic scene at the beginning of the film where Bambi's mother is shot by a hunter. The newly orphaned fawn must learn how to be a grown buck with the help from Thumper the bunny and Flower the skunk. But in reality, Bambi's mother does not die in the beginning of the film. Not in the first 10 minutes, 15 minutes, or in the first 30 minutes. It's not until 41 minutes and 37 seconds into the film, well past the halfway mark, that Bambi's mother meets her maker. Did this Mandela effect catch you like a deer in headlights?
Recommended.
But it's so interesting. It's like that classic deer caught in the headlights.
It is.
You always
that
hear
phrase
about.
means something, right? We'll be back with more.
The final Mandela effect is brutal, and viewer discretion is advised. Warning! When it comes to people not using their critical thinking skills and blindly following the crowd, many of us think of the rodents from Norway, Lemmings. There has been video games, songs, and comic strips showing how the lemmings follow one another off a cliff to their doom.
But the people are retarded.
Reflecting the herd mentality and humanity when we don't ask questions or critically think on matters at hand. This is due to a film made by Disney in 1958 titled White Wilderness, where they show the lemmings following one another off of a cliff into the sea below today. However, these weren't lemmings from Norway, but brown lemmings from Canada. The fact is that lemmings don't commit mass suicide by running off of cliffs. But this wasn't found out until 1982, 24 years later. So if lemmings don't naturally run off cliffs to their doom, then what did they do in the Disney film? Well, the movie crew threw them off the cliff and staged the footage. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to send the like button to an alternate universe, and let me know down below if any of these Mandela effects made you question your reality. And could we be living in a simulation?
Call it the not-so-magical kingdom.